Hello YouTube, and welcome to the board of the Batu. It's a very quiet morning for me today, and I welcome you all to the board of the Batu. My ass is so big, it's making my backdrop move. It's so sad. I should really exercise my thighs, but they are waiting for a man to play with them. Once a man plays with them, I'm sure they'll be the right shape and size. I'm just so lazy. Anyway, welcome to the board of the Bantu people. And I had a terrible time in the last few weeks because when I bought my house, I went into a really bad real estate deal, which I didn't need to go into because I had all my money and I had all my ducks in a row, except that I had zero knowledge of real estate and how it works in Canada. And so I thought that, and I'm still wondering where I went wrong. And the fact is, I went wrong because I had zero knowledge of real estate, the real estate industry in Canada. And even understanding it, like I really would like to try to understand it, create a maze of some kind, but I can't because it's so difficult for me to understand. But at some point, I'm going to get someone to teach me and I'm going to sit and learn it because, as long as I'm not dead and as long as I'm walking, I should learn things. So anyway, I went into a really bad real estate deal, which was manufactured to be bad. Right. Remember the story of the Indians hacking me? I've been talking about it for a year and a half now. So anyway, I made no mistakes on my part. I asked the African community for a real estate agent that they trusted so that I could buy a house because I was having so much trouble finding the house that I wanted. I found that Caucasians had an idea of how a black woman should live. So every time I had a Caucasian real estate agent, they would take me to the ghettos and the so-called black areas, and they would show me these houses that were like boxes, and I was never taken out of those neighborhoods despite my large down payment. So I asked the African community, those who actually managed to buy houses, real houses, because to me, an apartment, a condo, I don't want to waste my money on that. I really don't. And I'm not a single woman anyway. I have a child with special needs and he requires the space because his world is so small, his world is so limited, and I'm not going to put him in a small place to make it even smaller. He needs an average sized house. I have an average sized house. Okay. So anyway, I talked to other Africans in the community and I say to them, please recommend someone for me who gets me a house, an average sized house in so-called not so-called traditional black neighborhoods, right? Who would actually look at me and actually see that, I do make some money. I'm not on welfare. I work really hard and I'm not on welfare because I still get that problem. When I was talking again to some other person in real estate, they literally were talking to me as if I was the poorest bitch in town. Because again, there is that idea that black people have no money and that we are poor, and that idea is very strong in Canada. It is very strong in Canada. And yeah, I'm poor. I'm a broke ass bitch, okay? But I do save my money. I hardly go out to eat. I hardly buy new clothes. I literally buy new clothes once or twice a year, and I buy them based on my weight. I'm in my pajamas most of the day because I work from home and I work very hard. So, my entertainment costs are zero and I work very hard. So in my head, I must have the house that I want because I'm in that house 24/7, and my mental health will not allow me to just reach out like this and touch a wall while I'm sitting on the ground, or touch a wall like that. And my cultural feng shui does not allow my furniture to be against any wall. It has to be free falling in the center. So I need a certain type of residence. Also, because I'm a witch doctor, I need a garden with a tree. I cannot live in the center of the city where they want to put where they used to want to put us, but now they don't. Anyway, I asked for a recommendation of a real estate broker, and I got a real estate broker. Mark answer. If you are in Toronto and you are from Canada, do not use Mark answer to buy your house. Don't use him. He will sell you into slavery, as my friend said last night. He is a slave trader. Okay? So anyway, yeah, he is. So anyway, he got me into a really bad real estate deal with some Indians. And at the time, I was ill, metaphysical attacks. You remember that time. And they gave me these papers to sign, and I said, I need a lawyer to read this before I sign. So, I pick up my phone, I try to find a lawyer, and I can't, because once again, I'm black. And I'm talking like I need a lawyer to go through my contracts. No, we don't do that. No. And I was just like, God, I miss my dad, because my dad was a lawyer and he would have read that shit for me and made sense of it. Anyway, push comes to shove, the deal literally says that if I don't pay my mortgage, I lose my house, basically. And the Indians take it over. Right? The Indians take over my house and they take over the mortgage and it becomes their house. That's what the deal said. But so of course they had to hack me. Of course they had to steal my money from all the portals that they could. They had to do it because they didn't want me to be able to afford my mortgage. Then they could take my house. That's just the gist of it. I mean, there was a lot more involved. So anyway, I was dealing with that. Right? I was dealing with that whole thing, and it cost me so much money. So much money. And now lawyers want to hear me out. They didn't want to hear me out before, but now they do. And I was talking to the lawyer, and I said, how could this happen? And he said, look here, your real estate agent, he brings people to them. He brings people to these Indians, and he is the front man. He is the salesperson. He identified you, and he took you to them, and he said, here's one. And they give him a kickback for each person whom he sells, whose information he sells to them, and whom he does this for. He gets a kickback. And I said, this is like slavery. It took one group of fucking Africans to sell another to slavery. And this is exactly what Mark Ansa did to me. He sold me to freaking slavery, and I'm still enslaved. Because the deal I made to keep my house, because my house is really important to me. I am homeless and I am stateless, because I moved all the way from Africa. I'm homeless and I'm stateless. And it is important to me because it's the only home I have. And I managed to get a home for pretty cheap. Okay, that was big enough and beautiful enough It's a beautiful house. And now I'm being told that I should downgrade, which I'm not going to do. I would rather catch a plane and go all the way back to Africa. I am not downgrading. And actually, I was talking about that with friends yesterday. Like, perhaps it is time for me to just go to Zim and stay there, because I'm not downgrading. But anyway, the point is, my house is everything to me. I mean, I've lived on the streets. I've been homeless. I've lived on the streets. I've literally looked for food in trash cans because I made bad choices. I have gone through so much pain, so much grief, and my home is my sanctuary, and my home is where I live and breathe. You know, my home is my safety from the chaos of the world. And even though I've saved it, I've just saved it temporarily. I really have to find another home. So I am now back in the trenches looking for another home. I am not downgrading the size of my home, because my son lives with autism and he lives with me and he barely gets out of this house, and neither do I. And this is basically this space right here. It contains the both of us. So I'm back in the trenches looking for another house. You know, time is ticking, tick tock, and I'm working like a dog. So make appointments. And the oils are coming at the end of the month, because I totally need to make money to recover from all this and to be able to get another house that is pretty much the size that I have now. Only now the houses are 3 times more expensive than the last time I got one. So anyway, Mark Answer sells his own to Indians for money. I'm taking him to court. So if he watches this video, let him know that. Okay? I am. In about 90 days, we're going to court. He will be served. Okay? So Mark Answer got me this bad real estate deal, this illegal real estate deal. I just managed to get out of it after paying a hefty amount of money, which has left me in the red for the next 20 to something years of my life. And because of this, I have been advised to sell my house and get another one. Okay, the advice was actually sell your house and move into an apartment. And I'm like, it's easy for you because you probably have 10,000 houses and you probably feel at home in Canada. I don't, right? But okay, and it has made me think again that I should just move back to Africa because my soul is tired. Okay, having said that, Mark Answer is a black male who is supposed to protect black women. You will be amazed at the race that is trying to protect me now. Ain't no black man there. Not a single black man. Instead, Mark Answer sold me to the Indians. Then the Indians pulverized me financially. Right. So that I wouldn't be able to afford my house. Right. And then I had to sell myself in order to keep my house. All my hard work down the drain. But even worse, emotionally, mentally, I'm a basket case. And that eventually affected my health and had me ill. So I decided this hatred that black men have for black women in this part of the world, because Mark may be of Ghanaian descent, but he was born in Canada, raised in Canada, and he may be of Ghanaian descent, but he embodies that thing that black men born in the West have for black women. That thing that makes them want to see us destroyed. Right? That's I'll take advantage of her. Like, there is absolutely no protection from the black male born in this part of the world to the black woman. So I had to ask, why do they hate us so much? I'm so sorry I took so long to get to the gist of this reading, but I had to share with you what is driving me. And like I said, I really want to look at social issues in the metaphysical and see if the metaphysical can explain what's going on in the physical instead of just looking at celebrities. So, you know, I'm on the hate track, and this month being the Women's History Month, why do black men born to the West hate black women so much? I mean, it's everywhere. Black males are busy. They've got successful channels insulting black women as if they didn't come from our bellies. You came from our bellies, okay? You came out of black vaginas. We pushed you out. We breastfed you. We put a roof over your heads while your fathers were running around denying your existence. Okay? We took care of you only for you to get up and make whole freaking videos on your hatred of black women, not understanding that it's not about the black woman. It's about you. You don't want to be black. You really don't want to be black, and you wish you could crawl. So you decide, okay, if I hate on black women, you know what I mean, I shall be white. No, you won't. No, you won't. No, you won't. But that's just me. Okay, that's just me. The question on the board: why do black men hate black women so much in this part of the world? I mean, what happened to me would never have happened in Africa. And I had bought a house in Africa. I had a penthouse in Africa. Oh yes. I mean, everybody, I had a penthouse. I was daddy's little girl. He helped me buy it. I had a penthouse in Africa. And guess what? I didn't even have to worry about my real estate deal. It was done so well because I had the protection of all these men. I had my dad. I had the real estate agent himself. I had the sellers. Everybody was saying, she's single. You know, this is a girl, right? We need to do right by her. You know, we don't need to give her hassles. And it wasn't the penthouse I wanted. I wanted the biggest penthouse because, you know, and I say to my dad, the biggest penthouse, daddy, the biggest. And my dad said, okay. My dad said, okay. But then the real estate agent decided to sell me the smaller one because he said, well, you know, you are single, you're a girl, this one has got 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and look at it. You know, he kind of, and I was like, but that's not the one I wanted though. I wanted this one. However, in the end, it turned out that he was right for my age and for, literally, he turned out that he was right. And it turned out that he was really looking out for me. And so I know for a fact that this doesn't happen in Africa. I know for a fact that this doesn't happen. I know that there's always protection for a female in business. But here, it appears that it is our own men who put us in these situations, and we have to look for other men from other races to take us out of the situations that our own men put us in. So, yes, why do they hate us so much? Okay, why do they hate us so much? That's the question on the board. So sorry for the long monologue, but this is why I'm doing it. Okay? Okay. So, I'm going to call in the energies of African American men, okay? Because they're the ones who are out here effing us with their words and their vitriolic hatred that you can't even, so you have to do this like to your ears. And then they say, why don't African women want to date us? We cannot date you when you spew so much hate for your own women. I mean, and I happen to be black too. I mean, you're still looking at the same colored vagina here, okay? Whether it is born in the United States or it is born in Africa, same color. Same color. So So, if you don't like it in them, you're obviously not going to like it in me. So, I withdraw my services. Okay? Withdrawal of services with immediate effect because I do not want to be pummeled by you. So I'm calling in African American males because they seem to be leading the trend. They lead the trend. Okay, why do African American males hate African American women? So I'm calling on the veil. As always, I'm calling on all the energy. All the energy. Calling the veil. 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 And so the veil has opened up, and what the veil did was it threw a lot of African American males' ancestors into the plate. So guess what, guys? Guess what? Your ancestors are here to answer the case. The courts of the Bantu are now open. The courts of the Bantu are now open. This is the case on the board. This is the case on the board. Isobel Mitton, Bantu witch doctor, Bantu priestess, Bantu chosen, Bantu sacrifice, Bantu torchbearer has brought a case against African American males. She and her ancestors have brought a case against African American males. And the case is, why do you hate us? Why do you hate African American women? And why do you hate black women in general? And God in his wisdom and his kindness and the veil in its wisdom and in its kindness has opened up and dropped a whole lot of African American male ancestors from the days of slavery. Some of them have walked in here with the chains of slavery. From the days of slavery to the modern era. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I hope, ladies, I hope, ladies, to represent you as your attorney. I hope to represent you as we get an answer from these men. Okay, so welcome to the ancestors of the African Americans who have been dropped into the room of light that belongs to the Xhosa of the Eastern Cape of South Africa. They rule. They rule. Yes, they do. They rule. Okay, welcome to the Bantu. One said, I'm Bantu too. It's good to know. Well, there you go. And another one. Okay. So the Bantus are moving to the right and the Nilots are moving to the left. Okay, we didn't ask for that, but they want to be identified and they want to be hailed as the Bantu. So I'm hailing the Bantu. Okay, alrighty, so these are your ancestors. Definitely a much smaller group of Bantus. They're like about 5 or 6 in the plate. Hold on. 7. There are 7 in the plate to 102 of the Nilots. Okay, so the question on the board. Why do African American men hate African American women? Jealousy. We kind of knew that, but we had to hear you say it. Jealousy. One is talking, one Nilotic ancestor who's wearing chains is talking. He says, since the beginning of time, women have always been favored. They held metaphysical power over us. And when we came into slavery, we found a way of tilting the balance of power. We took it from them. But even as we took from them, they were still favored. In slavery, they were favored. How were they favored? It was rare for them to be beaten, rare for them to be punished. despite your movies and despite those who say what they say, it was rare for the slave master, for the masters to punish the females. It was rare. They always used to make excuses for them, like, oh, she's a girl, or, because, at the end of the day, a woman carries that thing which is precious, and every man needs it. Her body. I'm being nice. because I'm on YouTube. Okay, her body. And this is how the masters used to see the girls. They used to see them in that way. And anyway, the girls would get favors. They were favored. She would go and be with the master. I'm not going to use servicing the master because history has distorted this situation. In most cases, these girls liked to lay with the master. They liked how he did what he did. History has twisted so much. A man is still a man. He still wants to please the woman he sleeps with. He still wants to please her. No matter what race she is, no matter what social background she is, he still wants to indulge her. It makes him feel good about himself. He still wants to do for her. Right? And because he's enjoying her body and she is giving it willingly, and he wants to make sure that he is the one she thinks about, the one she dreams about. And that has nothing to do with color. That has absolutely nothing to do with color. So these girls, they would be picked by the master. Most of them were seduced. Your history says otherwise, and maybe after my time as a slave, things changed. Maybe they changed. But in my time, and I am right at the beginning of slavery, in my time, they were seduced. The special smile, the special twinkle, the special, always getting something special. Here, a piece of cake. Here, have this. Always, he would come to the slave quarters with food in a basket for her. Here, don't tell anyone I brought this for you. Here. So they lived better. They were never whipped. Whipping, that is something in your movies for the girls. They were not whipped. Why would he whip that? Why would he? Why would he? There was always another way. So, they were never whipped. They were never reprimanded. And no matter what you see in your movies, even the mistresses, once she knew that her husband was digging at that, she stepped back, pretended it didn't happen, pretended it didn't exist, pretended it wasn't going on. And literally, that slave girl would have the run of the house for as long as she was the favorite. As long as she was the favorite, she had the run of the house. Basically, she ruled us all. She controlled us all. So we would have to go to her to ask for favors. And let me tell you something. These masters, they didn't change their women on the frequent as people think. She could be in charge of your life for 20-something years. And in that time, you could be sold. If she didn't like you, you were going to be sold. There was no doubt about it. She was going to go into that bed, okay? Bed wench. Every black female who sleeps with a white man is a bed wench. You're his slave. You are his slave. Whether you are on your back or on your hands and knees, you are his slave. Remember that. You're a bed wench. So these bed wenches, she could get you sold. She had that much power. If she went into that bed and she complained about you, you were gone tomorrow. Because in his head, you are competition. Some of these bed wenches lived in the main house. They lived in the, pretending to be the nanny. They lived in the main house. He moved his bed wench. He moved his, I had to go and turn on the camera again. He moved his bed wench from the slave quarters into the house. And sometimes the mistress would have her bedroom over here and the bed wench would be right next door. And every night, the master isn't heading in the direction of his wife's, his woman's room, the white woman. He's not heading there. He's heading in the direction of the bed wench. And that's where he sleeps all night, the bed wench, and then he gets out. And then when they had children, most of what you learn is distorted. Because you know, when he had children, some of those children ate in the kitchen of their father's house. Okay? They ate in the kitchen of their father's house. And we were serving them. Their skin was just slightly lighter than ours. But we were serving them. We were serving those children in the kitchen. So his white children will be eating in the dining room. His dark children, his darkies, would be eating in the kitchen, and we would be serving them. Some of these things that you have learned are not true about slavery. Humanity is humanity. So she was favored. And that is where the jealousy began. When a man begins to wish he were a woman, he is no longer a man. It emasculated us. It emasculated us. It was to every girl's favor to be liked by the master. It was in every girl's favor to be chosen by the master. But you see how humanity is? Humanity is humanity. Them white boys, they tried so hard to not have feelings for our girls. They tried so hard to see them as animals, and they failed. But they had no problems seeing us as animals. They had no problems seeing us as a threat. They had no problems. In life, the struggle between men is for the women. Because the women, the power, the resources. Because women are a resource. They are a resource. And as long as the white boy keeps getting our women, he has won the battle. So in our time, it was jealousy. Thank you. Kravasi, why are you laughing? Did it ever cross your mind that she did not want to be in that bed? It is, oh yes, many times. Many times. They cried. They cried so hard. I think my screen has gone darker. That's so weird. They cried. They cried so hard because, you know, he broke them. He had to break her in. They broke them in, you know, at a certain age when they were not ready for it. And they cried and they feared and, you know, all sorts of tantrums. You know, some masters had had a rule that only they were the ones who could break these girls in. Yes, they had a rule that only they were the ones who could do it. So if she wasn't a virgin, you had to explain yourself. And these were the masters who didn't have a lot of slaves, of course. They would have a certain number, like 23, 25, 27. You had to explain yourself. But a girl had to go through the master first before you could have her. That was the rule. Me first, and then you. So they all lost their virginities to him. Of course, the ones with the greater number of slaves, it was a case of him picking. He would pick. And the way they were picked was rough. It was hard on them. They were dragged from the common area, our common area, and she'll be kicking and screaming, and she is like, then he would drag her into the wheat fields, into the fields, and then he would lay her there, and then he would get up, and then she would be 13, 11, and she would be in a state of shock. But at that time, while it's easy for the modern era to decide what humanity is like, at the time when a girl bled, she was ready. That was our time, and that was our belief system. Whether it was in Africa or over here, once you are bleeding, you are ready. Nature says you are ready because you are bleeding. And we used to go with nature. We didn't go with social norms and belief systems and how life would be. And so, he would drag her, into the fields, and he would do. So their first, second, third, fourth, all those occasions, they were highly unpleasant for them, highly humiliating, highly dehumanizing. It was terrible. And in a way, that was how they got punished. We got whipped, they got whipped. Right? And so there were those who were totally terrified, who were totally frightened by the whole thing, who totally did not want to see the pinkness of it all. They did not want to see the pinkness of it all. There were those, yes, I concede by saying they were the majority. Thank you for conceding, good sir. I concede because you are asking me, wouldn't that be the majority? And I am conceding that yes, that was the majority. The majority did not like it. The majority were traumatized, dehumanized. I acknowledge that. Thank you, because he was going on and on and on, making it out like we were complicit in our own torture. He says, but I'm like literally, I don't know why I even have my head. I have to hold because he's talking through a bunch of shells. I'm just going to hold the shells. So he says, but there were those other girls who realized the power, who realized that sex is a strategy. There were those other girls who realized that if she didn't cry so hard, if she opened her legs wider, and if she moved a little bit underneath him, she could get things out of him. There were those girls who were born with the inner knowledge of the seductress, who knew what to do and how to do it. Yeah, there were those girls. Yes, those were the dangerous girls. Those were the girls who literally became your mistress. Because, she's 11 years old, she is crying, and she'll probably cry that whole year and the next year. But, these masters, he's not going to keep taking you, the same girl, to the bush. He's going to switch around. So some would hide, want to actually hide until they disappear, like, no, not me, right? Then some will resign themselves to, okay, this is going to happen to me no matter what. And then some would be like, okay, if I have to live this life, I'm going to live it. There were love stories too. There were actual love stories too. There were girls who fell in love with the masters. There were girls who fell in love with the masters, and they were the ones who usually ended up living in the main house, sleeping next door to the mistress herself. Because, now they are giving it to him with so much love and so much devotion because they're in love. And he is human. He is reacting to the love. He is reacting to it. He is enjoying it. He is reacting to it. So guess what? He will have a picnic basket packed for her. And one slave, as she gets off duty, is coming to the slave quarters, will be carrying that basket full of goodies, and he will be giving it to her. The master says it's for you. Okay, when that happened, good sir, when she got this picnic basket of goodies, good sir, okay, did she not share it? She shared it. We all got a piece. That's how we got to taste things like cheese. If we were not stealing it, we were eating it peacefully. We got to drink wine. She shared it. She would share everything. But with time, she would get apathy. With time, she would understand her power. With time, she would become just as brutal as her man, if not more so. With time, she would punish us more. With time, because she had the power. On the other hand, we never, ever got power. We slept with the mistresses. We gave them babies. Some of them died giving birth to our babies. But at no point did we get any power. Here's the thing. A black woman who sleeps with a white man eventually gets his power. A black man who sleeps with a white woman gets no power, no matter how long he is sleeping with a white woman. And that is where the jealousy began. I don't know your time and I don't know your society, but study it. And then deny that I'm wrong, if you can. A black woman benefits from a white man. He has power, a great deal of power that his ancestors fought for and he is retaining. He has it. He has power. He can sink so low and take any black female, any, and he can give her just 0.5% of his power. And she can do so much with it. She can do so much with it. Whereas a black male can sleep with a white woman. He can do it as much as he likes. He can marry her and have 20 kids. He'll still be who he is. Powerless. And in my opinion, that is why my progeny hates black women. They've seen them flourish in the arms of white men while they die in the arms of white women. She was not going to stop you from being lynched. You would be lynched. But the bed wench could stop the lynching. The bed wench could run to her man and she could say, please don't do this, please don't do it. And he won't do it. Happens so often. He won't do it. You will say, what's the fuss? Stop it. Don't. No. Talk down to his fellow white males. He will talk them down. And they will know it's the influence of his bed wench. But guess what? They're not going to say that to him because they are also under the influence of their bad wenches. Their bad wenches are also, influencing them. And if there's a bad wench there who is saying, hang him, there will be one white master who will fight to lynch your ass. I'm sorry. I'm just laughing. He's laughing, so I'm laughing. He says, yeah, now, of course, that I'm on the other side, it is hilarious. But if there is a bad wench who wants you gone, you're getting lynched. Even if you're his favorite slave, even if you're his best slave, you're getting lynched. Because, she says so. So, yes, the bad wench can save you, but the white mistress whom you are sleeping with every day cannot save you. So, I say it's jealousy. So my ancestors are saying I have to let him go. And I have to get another ancestor. So I thank you. Oh, he's giving me his name. Ogubuala. Oh, I can't pronounce it. Ogubuala. Thank you. You know what he just said? Because I just talked about my gladiator ancestor in one video who was a slave. He just said to me, thank you, daughter of the gladiators. Okay. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to get another ancestor and then we're going to call it a day. Because my ancestors had said it was jealousy, but getting a historical connotation of this has been very exciting. My favorite part of working in this metaphysical is talking to the ancestors. That's like my favorite part. I've learned so much and I'm learning so much, and I want to thank God, and I want to thank the veil, and I want to thank African Americans for existing, because if you didn't exist, I wouldn't be able to talk to your ancestors. So now my ancestors are saying choose a time. I'm going to choose the civil rights movement. Okay, because black women really sacrificed over there, and I'm going to choose it to see if this hatred was continuous. Okay, alrighty. Ancestors who are in court to answer the travesty of your sons who hate black women. Okay, alrighty. Can one of you step up? Can one of you step up? Can one of you step up? My name is Eric, and I was born in 1933. Wow. Hello, Eric. When did you transcend? 1969. I didn't have a long life, but the era your ancestors once answered is my era. Thank you. It is a very beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Because you poor thing, you've been through a lot. I have. I really have. He said, you'll be through a lot more. Oh, well, yeah. I'm kind of accepting that. He said, no, what is coming for you is deeper, more personal, more heartbreaking. Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Can you tell us why African American men hate African American women? The contempt was passed on from father to son, father to son, father to son. It was also passed on because women seemed to have so much power in the household. People might have been married, but the men spent a lot of time away from home. Sometimes by their own choice, sometimes by the legal system, and sometimes they just left. And so your mother is giving the rules and the regulations, and your mother is giving the punishments, and your mother is putting the food on the table, and your mother expects you to be obeyed, and the power of a woman over a male just became too much. We had to rebel. We had to rebel. This hatred you are talking about, this hatred African American men have for African American women, is rooted in single motherhood. Well, that's a new one. Yes, this is single motherhood. A male is born to be rebellious, to buck the system, the trend. He is born this way. And who is the system and who is the trend in single mother houses? Is the mother. I put it to you, oh, very professional. I put it to you that African American males hate African American females because they hate their mothers. They are rebelling against the powers the mothers have. But with time, we gain wisdom. We gain wisdom, and we understand that if it were not for our mothers, we would be dead. And that's all I have to say. So what's the solution before you go? What's the solution? Black men and black women must marry again. And they must marry this time for real, because there's nothing to stop them. No more slavery. No more Jim Crow laws. No more any of that. They must marry again. They must create children in a union. They must be a dad. They must be a mom. That time will come. It is coming. And with that, the male doesn't buck against his mother anymore. He bucks against his father, as he is supposed to. A son is supposed to go to war with his father, not his mother. So you're saying that time will come. That time will come. He says, yes. That time will come when more males will realize marriage is not for women. It's for men. It's not for women. She can do without it. She can be a mother and she can create a family. She can do without it. But there's coming a time when African American males will understand that marriage is not for women. It's not a privilege that women want. It's actually for them. Them. A man marries to create stability, to create a home, to have a place that he repeatedly comes back to. That's why a man marries. A man marries for his safety and his security, and to have sweet loving in his old age from the same person. A man marries for so many things that have nothing to do with love. But the young bucks out here on the streets don't understand that. They don't understand that marriage is for them, not the woman. Okay, guys, I probably can go on because these are very interesting conversations, and maybe I'll pick it up another time and we'll continue with the reading on why they hate us. But I think I should just finally ask, one, will the hatred of African American women by African American men stop? Let me ask that. Will the hatred of African American men towards African American women stop? Will the hatred stop? Will the hatred stop? Yes or no? Well, we get a no from one ancestor who jumped out to say, no, it's never ever going to stop. What's going to happen? Oh my goodness. What's going to happen is more black women are going to find partners in other races and other. I don't know if I should tell you this, you guys, but it always appears like African American women are going to go the African route. When they are about black men, they are going to go the African route. So basically, African males are going to end up marrying African American women, and they'll be like 85% of the population will be married to someone from Africa at some point. How long? So strange. 33 years. It'll become a thing because the globalization would have brought us closer, and it'll become a thing. So they would just like jump ship and go on to the other side. And by them doing so, they will leave a lot of African American men in the hands of white women, which is where they want to be. Not all of them, but most of them. They will leave, you know, and that will continue. So that will continue until 50-something years later, and by that time, a whole new set of black people would have been created. Damn it, not 50-something. It says the marriages are going to begin in earnest in 33 years. It's in about 50-something years, there will be a big, big difference. So I should ask how African women are going to take this. How are African women going to take this? They don't care. And that would be African women. So on that note, guys, thank you so much for listening to me. And I didn't really get to the bottom of this. So if you have questions, YouTube, write them down so that I can continue this, because I am going to continue this series of finding out why things are the way they are in our communities and in the world at large, because one community affects, you know, everybody. So, you know, thank you so much. And be kind to yourselves. No, really, be kind. I have not been kind to myself, and that is why I had these horrible health issues. And, you know, it was a reminder that when you're not kind to yourself, you go under. So I would like to thank God for helping me by bringing people into my life who were able to help me and sort out my situation. It may be temporary, but it's so much better than the other alternative. So much better. And I would like to thank you all for your love, your compassion, your kindness, and keeping me in your prayers. And I would like to urge you again, be kind to yourselves. Be kind to each other. Look out for each other. Be there to help, no matter what. Even if you have your own problems and you're sinking and drowning in them, it doesn't mean that you ain't an expert in someone else's issues and you could help them. So do so. Go out of your way. We were born together in this era and in this time. so that we could walk together, share similar experiences, laugh, cry together, eat together. That's why we were born in this time together. So reach out and touch.